There's one thing I've always wondered when I'm at the craft store, you know, other than how I can get the most amount of yarn for the least amount of money, but that thing is, are those amigurumi box kits actually a worthwhile purchase? I'm definitely curious, but as someone who has been designing their own patterns for a few years now, I could never justify the expense of buying one just to answer that question. But as it turns out, I no longer have to. On a completely unrelated note, I would like to give a shout out to all well-meaning older relatives who only have a surface level understanding of your hobbies and interests, but try their best anyway. You all get a gold star. I am now in possession of this, and I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity by trying it out. I will crochet this doll here who is apparently named Susie, but my brain doesn't do well with this particular font, so I read the S as a J and the Z as a G, so I've just been calling her Jugi in my head. So yeah, I'm going to crochet Jugi here, giving the kit a bit of a review as I go, answering such burning questions as what are the quality of the supplies, are the instructions clear, is it worth the money? Let's find out. So step one will be to open the box. I haven't done that yet, so let's get the scissors on in there and see what we have in store. Alrighty, we got some yarn. I think it said on the box it was cotton yarn. Yep, 100% cotton yarn. So we should have 100% cotton yarn, a crochet hook, filling, necessary accessories, and a pattern booklet. Let's make sure all the materials are here. And you know what I did forget to do? I forgot to put on the second camera. Calling it a second camera sounds much more professional than I stole my sister's phone. I'm guessing those are the necessary supplies. Pattern booklet. More necessary supplies. I don't think she has 4 eyes. Crochet hook, what size we're using? 2.5. I don't like that. I want to use a 3.5 at least. And some filling. Off to a good start. It appears that all our supplies are accounted for. The next question, next burning question to answer is how clear are the instructions? So round 1 is 8 single crochet in a magic circle. Is center pull going to work for me today? Probably not, because I never bloody do. I'm convinced that everyone who says that center pulls are the best thing ever are liars. Not really, it never works for me. Or I should say it only works for me about 2% of the time. Come on. Not the worst yarn vomit I've ever had. I think what I'll do is just crochet each section of this doll and then bring you guys back in at the end of each section, and we can just do a little review, little update, and see how the pattern is going. So you lot move out of the way, please. And I'm going to start crocheting Jugi's head with my 2.5mm hook. I'm tempted to just bump up and use my 3, but that's not quite in the spirit of this challenge, isn't it? I've got to use the hook that came with the kit. Why am I making a slip knot? I've been making so many succulents for another project I'm working on that I've just got in the habit. I did it again. I'm in the habit of just making a slip knot. Magic circle Lee. Magic circle. There we go. And that is round 8, all finished. So far hasn't gone too badly. The one thing I have noticed is, and I do notice this with other 100% cotton yarns I've used, but this one seems particularly bad. It's the threads splitting, so you'll get most of the yarn on your hook, but then this one little thread, maybe I better show you on this camera, you can see easier. that 1 or 2 little threads that sort of break off, that's happening quite a bit. It's very annoying. I don't know if that's this yarn they've included. I don't know if that is the smaller hook size that I don't tend to use, or it's a combination of those 2 factors. But yeah, I've just noticed it's happening quite a lot. From this point, I need to crochet rounds 9 to 19 as just rounds of single crochet. But I'm not going to do that here because that will destroy my back. So I'm going to hop over to my chair and I'll just bring you guys back again when the head is done. Well, that concludes round 22, which means according to the instructions, I now need to insert the safety eyes between round 16 and 17, 10 stitches apart. I've been given 2 lots of accessories, and I don't know if that's a mistake or if there's some difference between them. I don't think so. The safety eyes look exactly the same. There's some brown embroidery thread in both, and there was the same stitch marker in each, so possibly an accident. Maybe you get a spare set of accessories, but I don't know, would they waste product and money on that? Who knows? Let's insert these eyes. Just what they're probably 12mm eyes, I would guess. This is the back of the round here. What was it between round 16 and 17? 1, 2. I know I haven't finished the head yet. I've got 4 rounds to go, but those eyes look really low down to me. But even if I think that, I'm going to leave them there because I want to follow this pattern as is. I'm just going to pop the backs on and then we'll continue on with the head. And I believe reading ahead in this pattern, we then go straight into the body pattern. It's not a separate piece. It looks like we crochet the body directly off the head. You know, I've seen some creators, they stick googly eyes on their microphones. Maybe I should make an amigurumi head for mine. How does that affect the sound? I won't know that till I edit. Alrighty, on to round 23. I forgot I was supposed to add the stuffing after round 22. And then at the end of round 26, we need to change to color C, which is the yellow. Are you going to work for me this time, center pull? No. Sort of. Switch to yellow. And then I just need to finish stuffing the head, which I would have liked to have left a larger gap through which to add the stuffing. Just having 12 single crochet or 12 stitches makes that a little bit more difficult than it needs to be, I think. That's the headpiece complete. Thoughts so far is the yarn is kind of a pain in the ass to work with just because the threads keep splitting. I think I mentioned that before. I don't like working with a 2.5mm hook, but that is very much a me thing. I think the biggest takeaway at this stage is I think they've made this pattern a bit needlessly complicated. I mean, it's just a round piece. And like the pattern, it's not difficult if you're familiar with crochet, you know, you understand how to read a written pattern. It's not difficult. I just think it is needlessly complicated, especially if this is intended for like a beginner. What am I doing for the next round of the body? Now see, they call this round 1 of the body. I would have just called this round 27 of the head/body pattern. there's round 15, and bit of bad news. I'm going to have to put a mark in the negative column for quality because my first stitch marker just snapped. So it's a good thing they ended up giving me 2. Now after round 15, it looks like, according to the instructions, we need to press round 15 together, and we're going to crochet the legs off of that, one on this side and one on this side. But I've just read ahead a little bit, and the instructions aren't all that clear. They're in bullet points. So the first one is stuff the body. That's easy. One after that is flatten the last round, marking the center 2 stitches at the front and back with 16 stitches on either side. To me, that means I just press that flat, pinch it in the middle there, and then make sure I've got 16 stitches on this side and then 16 stitches on that side. Fairly straightforward. But the third bullet point says, work 2 more single crochet to end at side edge. Mark last single crochet as new beginning of the round. Move a marker each round. That's not very clear. So work 2 more single crochet to end at side edge. I interpret that as single crochet to the side of the edge, so maybe here, but that is a lot more than 2 single crochet. If I did that, that would be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 7 or 8 stitches. So I don't know what that means. I'm assuming move or mark the last single crochet as the new beginning of the round means mark the first stitch of the first leg that we're going to crochet, which is the left leg. But yeah, I really don't know how to interpret this one. I want to follow the pattern as it is written, but that's a little bit difficult to do when you don't understand it. Work 2 more single crochet to end at side edge. I really don't know what that means. What I think I'm going to do, rather than, I don't know, buggering up this pattern completely, I think I'm just going to press these 2 sides together, make sure I've got 16 stitches on this side, 16 stitches on this side, and I'm just going to continue crocheting the legs from here because I really don't know what work 2 more single crochet to end at side edge means. Because again, if it does mean single crochet to like the side edge here, that's a lot more than 2 single crochet. I don't know. So jumping straight down to the left leg pattern, the first round is just 16 single crochet. So I'm just going to crochet 16 single crochet around and then just continue working in those 16 single crochet, assuming I come back and repeat the pattern to crochet the right leg. So if anyone has a better understanding of what work 2 more single crochet to end at side edge means, please let me know down in the comments because it's driving me mad. I want to know what that means because I can't work it out. Doing 2 more single crochet does not get me to the side edge, or at least what I think the side edge is. Have I got that on? Yes, I do. Let's continue on with the left leg. And then 16. So my first 16 single crochet of the left leg has gotten me to the center of the front of the doll, which is where I'm guessing they should be if you want your legs to be symmetrical. So I'm just going to continue on with round 2, and I'm going to skip that bit about working to the side edge entirely. I'm going to have to leave it here for today. I don't know if you can hear all the noise going on in the background, but all of my nieces and nephews have just turned up in like the last 10 minutes. I was going to try and get through some more of this, but it's not going to happen. Bloody school holidays. Those brats are going to be here constantly. I don't know how I'm going to get anything done. But yeah, I'll leave it here for now. Tonight I'll probably crochet a little bit more, a few of the other pieces like the arms, the hat, the hair. See how we go. Wait till these bloody kids go home and peace is restored. But chances are I'll be coming back tomorrow to finish off this doll. There's a note here that says the end of round 18 should be on the inside of the leg. I'm going to guess this is a result of not doing that single crochet to the side of the edge part properly. It is what it is at this point. If I have to make any adjustments to the pattern for shaping, for example, I'll just do that. I'll just change up the stitch order if I have to. Oh, am I in your way, am I? Come on, we can share. No, okay, not good enough for you. Can you move your fluffy tail, please? Never work with animals or kids. I understand why they say that now.
Does that record me?
Yeah, just don't touch it.
Will that be on YouTube?
Yeah, so a little bit of it.
Will my hand be on YouTube?
No, because I edited it out.
Oh. Aww. Hi everyone!
I didn't get as much of the doll finished last night as I wanted to. I finished the head body piece. I made, where are they? I made a couple of ears, really basic pattern, and the collar for the shirt, but that was about it. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more crocheting today. A bit more than I wanted to, but that's what I get for slacking off last night. And that is the hair finished. I think the only piece I have left to crochet is the beret. I got all excited for a second there because I thought I was finished crocheting everything, but it turns out I need to make shoes as well. So I will crochet those, and then I think I'm going to put this thing together. And here we go. Jugi is all complete. I do need to sew the hat on, so technically she's not entirely complete, but I intend to give this to my youngest niece. And while she may only be 18 months old, Kid has some strong opinions, and one of those strong opinions is hats on dolls. So I haven't sewn that down yet just in case she doesn't want it on there, but that's a problem for another day. For now, as I've been working my way through this piece, crocheting it, assembling it, I have been keeping a sort of running tally of the pros and cons, and I've tried to remain as objective about my assessment as possible. But there's something I've got to admit to. I've tried not to let it affect my judgment here, but it's probably gonna. I can't help it. And that is, dolls are creepy. I've always found dolls creepy whether they're porcelain dolls, those dead-eyed plastic monstrosities that we give to kids. Do not get me started on the ones that talk. And even, yes, as much as I love crochet, even amigurumi dolls, they're just bloody creepy. The only place that dolls belong are in horror movies, and I will die on this hill. I will absolutely die on this creepy doll hill. And despite my best efforts, I cannot get past this fact, so I'm just putting my biases out there, laying them out on the table in an effort to be transparent. So just take that into consideration as I go through my thoughts, my criticisms on this amigurumi kit. First, let's talk supplies. Positives, there were more than enough supplies provided. I've got this yarn left over. There was plenty of that. I have quite a bit of stuffing left over too. And there was also that additional bag of accessories. Though to be fair, I don't know if the inclusion of this was a mistake or not. I don't know if they're supposed to be too. I'll admit, going into this, I was a little bit concerned that I would A, not have enough supplies, or B, I would just barely scrape by and win at Yarn Chicken. Capitalism being what it is. It wouldn't have shocked me if that had been the case, but I am pleasantly surprised to have been proven wrong because I had more than enough supplies in this case. However, on the con side of things, I'd say the overall quality was poor to average. I mean, one of my stitch markers straight up snapped, and that was only after the first several rounds of the head, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. The second one is on the verge of snapping. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but the plastic has turned white and it's quite brittle, so that's not going to last much longer. The yarn itself feels very much like the sort of lower end quality yarns that I have used in the past, though do take this assessment with a grain of salt. I can't really compare it to the good stuff because higher end fine quality yarns are just not in my budget. They never have been. So again, take this assessment with a grain of salt. I can only compare this to the yarns I have used, and in my experience, it is very, very similar to the 100% cottons that I have used. My final thought in regard to the supplies is that I thought the kit should have contained a needle and some pins as well, even just 3 or 4 pins, because those items are actually necessary for constructing the doll, putting it together, assembling it, but they aren't included for some reason. For someone like me who is a more experienced crocheter, I already had those supplies on hand, so it was pretty simple for me to access those. But if you're a beginner and you bought this kit specifically because you thought it contained everything required to assemble the pattern, well, I think that's a little bit of an oversight to leave out a needle and pins because someone like that may not have access to those items. But before you even get to the point where you are concerned with assembly, you need to get through the written pattern. And all I have to say on that is it was fairly basic, fairly straightforward, however, not particularly beginner friendly. There were a couple of times I did think to myself, well, that could have been explained in a little bit more detail. That could have been made a little bit simpler. What comes to mind is that section about, where was that from the legs? It was something about single crochet to the end of the edge. I still have no idea what that means. Where are we? Yeah, work 2 more single crochet to end at side edge. Still completely in the dark about that, but we can't rule out that that was me just being a little bit of an idiot. And again, because I am more experienced with amigurumi, I was able to read ahead, determine where the pattern was going and, crochet to achieve those same results, even if I didn't follow the written pattern exactly. But if you're a beginner, you may not be able to do that. So I do think for bits like that, where the pattern gets a little bit more complex, I think a little bit more detail could have been included in the written pattern and possibly a few more pictures. I mean, that's not very many pictures. There could be more of those. And that brings me to my final point. Who are these amigurumi kits actually intended for? Personally, I don't think they're very beginner friendly, and if that's the case, that would lead me to assume that they're aimed at a more advanced crocheter demographic. However, if you do fall into that advanced crocheter category, chances are you already have all the supplies that this kit provides on hand, so you don't really need those. And at that point, you're essentially just paying for the pattern, which you can do, that's fine, it's not an awful pattern. But let's be real, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of doll patterns available on the internet for free. And I just think their existence renders kits like this a little bit useless. And I could be completely off here. Maybe they are intended for beginners, even though I don't think the pattern is a beginner-friendly pattern. But I have looked and I cannot find a recommended difficulty specified anywhere in the paperwork given, in the pattern, or on the box. I just cannot find who this is intended for anywhere. I just could be missing it, but perhaps it doesn't exist, which, like with the lack of needle and pins, I think is a little bit of an oversight. There is actually one more point I want to make before we go here, and I don't know whether to class this as a pro or a con. I think it's going to come down to a personal preference with this one. For me, it is more of a con, but I can see how this could be a pro for other people. And that was the sense of restriction I felt working on this pattern pretty much from the moment I opened the box. We're restricted in terms of fiber type, yarn weight, color. I was restricted in the terms of the hook that was provided. And like I just said, some people might consider those restrictions a pro, but for me, I don't like the feeling that there were barriers in place. I like to be able to crochet a pattern with whatever color, yarn weight, fiber type, hook size that I like. And this pattern did not allow me to do that. I mean, well, I could have just gone and grabbed another hook and some yarn I had, but that kind of defeats the purpose of trying the amigurumi kit, doesn't it? So in conclusion, taking everything I've said into consideration, are amigurumi kits worth the money? Personally, I don't think so, but just because I don't think so doesn't mean that that is the same for you. If you are someone who would enjoy just working on a singular project at a time, having like things like the colors picked out for you, the hook size picked out for you, having just enough yarn so you don't end up with a massive yarn tumor growing in the corner of your room, an amigurumi kit might be just the thing for you, but for me, nah, it just doesn't work. Not my cup of tea. It was still fun trying this out, even though I had to make a creepy doll. Silver lining, my niece will love adding another Bubba to her collection, so I will give that to her when I see her next, and I'll make sure to get her opinion on the hat first. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Would you consider buying an amigurumi kit? And if you have in the past, what did you think of it? Consider subscribing if you haven't already, like the video if you enjoyed it, share it if you think it's worth sharing, and I will see you all next week with another video. Also, before I go, thank you very much to all my patrons for your continued support.